Okay, we're back again. What I'm going to do today is show you a couple of the new RichGoon strategies which we've added last week. These have been on the gold asset pair on USD. So when you come into the RichGoon app, you'll have your account showing up at the top there. You'll have, if you've got any bots set up, they will be normally on the Real tab on the right there, set on bots there, and then they'll be showing in here as RG-Strat. Now, one I've just added recently, well, there's a couple of them actually here, PolkaDot XAU Longs and XAU Longs and Shorts. So what we try to do is put a little bit of information into the actual name of the strategy, so that you can see this is the take profit, which is 0.15%, which is a scalping type of strategy. These are reasonably profitable bots. In particular, this one has been doing very well. If I just show you on cTrader, other than the Friday, which I think everybody had a problem on Black Friday, where the market was manipulated, it would appear. But anyway, I closed that one in a loss. But prior to that, we've been getting some decent entries, and that was using the RG-Strat 4560. So if you go back to the application itself, 4560 can be seen there. That's particular to my account. So when you create a bot and you create a bot there, you add it to your account, it will generate your own account number so that you can keep a track of that in cTrader. You may need to switch on the label there. See, if you switch the label off there, it goes, switch it back on, you get to see the actual strategy name. There we are. Very useful. If there's no strategy name, it means I've done a manual trade there, and plenty of disastrous manual trades there. This is why you can see that the strategies make such a difference to, or depending on how good you are at trading. That's why we make these, is because the strategies remove all our emotions from the equation and can achieve results based on the backtest. Now, if I show you the actual origin of where this is coming from, you can see here in TradingView, here's an example of PolkaDot and how PolkaDot is actually opening these trades: long, close in profit; short, close in profit; long, close in profit. Now this is the new LS PolkaDot strategy, and there's the trade showing up below. So these signals are sent from TradingView to RichGoon. Now this particular one, I've named this safer simply because on paper or on backtesting we are getting 100% performance on these. It remains to be seen whether that continues from here on. It does mean that in this strategy you get less trades. The other one, which is shown, which is this particular one, if we go on to strategies, it's likely to be doing more trades. So we go on to the recently added there. You can sort the strategies using these column headers. So they're the two new ones there. The silver is similar, but it hasn't opened any trades yet. But yeah, the longs there, you can see that just there has been a couple of losses on that, but despite, I think I managed to intercept one of these. What you should do is keep an eye on the actual asset in cTrader And the way that you would manage some risk on that is by putting a couple of moving averages on there. The moving averages are, if you click on the setting there, a 50 period for the blue line, and then the yellow line I set a 200 period there. So when the 50 EMA crosses below the 200, that's when there could be a chance that the market is starting to go into a downward trend. If you go way back here, you can see, in fact, I've labeled this as an example, a caution. So you can see that a buy was entered, a long was entered there, and the EMA, 50 EMA crossed below the 200, and if I remember right, in the strategy it actually caused a stop loss there. Not sure, I think this might have been a manual trade that I did there. But anyway, that's something to watch out for. You want to keep an eye on that crossover, and if it starts to expand, you know you're in an extended downward trend, and it's likely that the strategy stop loss, which is going to trigger around about there, could put you in some loss. So you might want to take an opportunity whenever it goes into profit. Obviously you've got to keep a close eye on that, because the volatility can be intense, and try and get out in profit. You might even need to take a slight loss. So that's your risk management on cTrader. Going back to RichGoon, the new strategy is there, which is the safer version, which is an L and an S, meaning it's doing longs and shorts, and the back testing is quite good. So you can click into that strategy there. You can have a look at there. In fact, we've had 3 successful trades on Friday before the crash, and you can add that to your own account by clicking copy strategy. You select and agree to the terms there, which is you accepting the risk, accept and continue. Then you point it at the exchange that you want to have it active on. So I would be using Kronos. You don't have to worry about these boxes, they're just for a manual calculation. You set the lot size in there. I generally do 0.3. If you wanted to know what that actually represents in terms of your account, you'd go to the account. You can look here under quantity, and this gives you an idea of what the actual dollar value margin is. And if you wanted to increase it to 0.3, the risk is 602 there. So you go back to the strategy, put in your value, and then create bot. I won't do it because I've already added this earlier on. You can see that under bots, and it's showing there as active status. If you ever want to turn a bot off, you click on it and you can toggle it off there, confirm or not, and that means it will just be suspended. You're not deleting it, you would delete it there, you're just suspending it. So going back to the strategies, you can also see the bots that you've got active by this green marking on the strategy. So you can see all the ones that are active there. You may want to keep an eye on the actual win rate as well. So if you click on win rate, this tends to be a more reliable indicator than most profitable, because the profit can depend on the arbitrary margin that we've entered in, as just to get the strategy running, but you can choose your own margin specific to your situation. So yes, you can click on win rate and you can see whether the bots that you have chosen are generally in the top of the chart. If you're using a bot and it's fallen down here, you might want to reassess what you're doing, and you may want to reassess it and choose bots that are higher reliability. Okay, this is just an addition to the risk management. I wanted to show you how to add a stop loss to an existing RG trade. I'm going to need to put on a manual trade just to show this. I'm on Bitcoin at the moment on the 1 minute. Now I'm just going to put a long on here. There we have a long for 0.01. You've got the positions showing in the panel. As you can see, it just started to go into positive profit. Now the RG Strat will add these automatically. Now the stop loss is part of every strategy, but if you were concerned that the market may well be reversing opposite to whatever strategy is entered, so for instance usually at the bottom of a move a long is prudent, but let's say the strategy had put a short on here, and you could think, right, this doesn't look like a short is viable here. You can just mitigate your loss by dragging the stop loss from this selector and putting it at wherever you feel is appropriate. Now you have to allow some wiggle room. But you can see that if I set this stop loss here, if the stop loss gets triggered, it will be 2.81 in loss. If I just let go of that and leave it. So you can set this wherever you want. Now if you bring it up to this level, just below the wicks, then it's an even lower risk margin. So that's one way you can protect yourself. You can also, if you thought that maybe the top was possibly not going to get as high as it would normally, you can also add a manual take profit, and that will override, well, not so much override, but if it's lower than the normal 0.15, for instance, percentage take profit, then that will trigger it in its place, and then the strategy will resume again once the next trade is triggered. So you can clear these off just by clicking the cross. Very easy to do. Anyway, I hope that explains how you would choose a bot and how you would enable it on your account.